Last time, we spoke about the importance of hard work. Not just hard work because it's hard, but a person was put into this world in order to struggle. And Mesilas Yesharim says the following amazing statement, which is chock full of, rich with important information, Yesod HaChasidus, the foundation of Chasidus, that hidden part of the building we spoke about, that when it looks like a building should be going up, we're actually looks like we're going in the wrong direction. We're going down. It's the hidden part that makes the difference. V'shorish havoda hatamima. Same thing, a tree doesn't stand in place. It doesn't last for as long as it needs to last if it doesn't have deep roots. So what is that hidden part, that undefined dimension that's not visible to the outside of everybody else? What is it that makes the difference about this person who's going to do a perfect job, an avoda hatamima? It is that she is baravius ames eitz la'adam, comes with actually any task in the world. The greatest athlete also has to decide that he wants to do a great job. He wants to be a perfect athlete. He wants to make it to the Hall of Fame. He wants to do something that's going to put his name and his statistics on the map someplace. So therefore, he exercises. He wants to get a gold medal in the Olympics. And therefore, anybody who says, have a beer, try this cigarette, try this thing, any person who distracts him, he filters out those voices until he hears and he amplifies the voice inside him that leads him to his goal. This ames eitzel adam, he amplifies it. Eitzel adam, macho vasav olamo. What am I here to do? What was I put here to accomplish? Ulamatza riksha yasim abata. What should he put his ambition? Umagmaso, and put his vision and his ambition. B'cholashu amel kol yimei chayav, and that which he's going to be struggling in all the days of his life. The implication we said is that a person is struggling the days of his life. He's going to be struggling this way, or he's going to be struggling that way. A human being is a striving creature. It's an amazing thing. Shlomo Melech was only the wisest man that ever lived, so maybe we can tip our ear to try to hear what he has to say. And he says the following thing. First of all, he says, we'll speak about it later on in the Mesilas Yesharim, that HaNefesh lo tamali, the soul cannot be filled, it cannot be satisfied. And he says the following thing, Ohev kesef, lo yizba kesef. A person loves money, he won't be satisfied with money. Fascinating idea. The Medrash over there says, Ohev mitzvahs. This is the Medrash. Trying to understand this piece. That Shlomo Melech says that someone who loves money will not be satisfied with money. It says, Ohev mitzvahs, lo yizba mitzvahs. Somebody who loves mitzvahs will not be satisfied with mitzvot. Some Ohev Torah, lo yizba Torah. Somebody who satisfies, who's striving for, who loves Torah, will not be satisfied with Torah. What is the Medrash saying over here? What is the Medrash saying? So we know when it comes to money, we can explain it. There's a psychology of the person that, whatever we have, the Talmud says, Im yesh lo mana rotza Messiah, if the person has 100, he wants 200. He's not satisfied. Actually, there's a slight contradiction. Rabbi Yonash and Eibschitz points out, because we have another statement from the sages that says, even though in one place it says, Im yesh lo mana rotza Messiah, if he has 100, he wants 200, right? The person wins $100,000. He said, why did I take a partner? Why didn't I buy double the amount of the stock? Somehow he feels a little bit regret that once he gets that large amount of money, he thinks he can get twice as much. And it says, but on the other hand, he says, Ein adam meis b'chatzi tavasa b'yado. A person doesn't die and leave this world having fulfilled half of his desires. So Rabbi Yonash and Eibschitz hears in the text a subtle percentage point distinction between these two statements. On the one hand, it says, Im yesh lo mana rotza Messiah, if the person has 100, he wants 200, so he got mathematically to 50%. And the other statement of the sages says, Ein adam meis v'chatzi tavasa b'yado. The person doesn't die having fulfilled half of his desire, which means he didn't get the half, right? He didn't get the half, right? That's the implication of that statement. That means he only got to 49.999 repeating, but he never got to 100, never got to the 50. So Rabbi Yonash and Eibschitz answers very beautifully. I heard once from one of our Rabbi. He said the following thing. And I want to explain this to my daughter. She understood it very, very well. He says like this. He says, the half that the person doesn't have is more dear to him than the half that he does have. Right? I told my daughter that the shoes that are still in the store are somehow more attractive and more alluring to you than the shoes that you have in the shoe rack at home that's hanging behind the door. Those are the ones you have already. So it's less dear. But the ones that are in the store, the ones that you don't have, that's more. So quantitatively, mathematically, the person reached 50%. But qualitatively, the part that he doesn't have is irking him and urging him and pulling him more, and therefore he doesn't die having fulfilled half of his desire. So we understand when it comes to money. So what does it mean? What is Shlomo HaMelech telling us when it comes to the same thing the Medrash says when it comes to Torah mitzvahs? Ohev mitzvahs, lo yizbeh mitzvahs. Ohev Torah, lo yizbeh Torah. The person won't be satisfied with Torah. So I once heard from a very clever friend of mine. He said the following thing. He says what the Medrash is telling us and what Shlomo HaMelech is telling us is that there's a bottomless potential within each and every human being. A person is a piece of potential, an empty swimming pool, an empty ocean that's looking to be filled up. And no matter how much you're going to fill it up, it's never going to be fulfilled. It's never going to come to the point of complete satiation. That's life. But the question is, what are you going to fill it up with? Are you going to fill up that endlessness? Are you going to fill up that bottomless pit? Are you going to fill it up with something that's worth something or something that's worth less? That is the question. But that hungry heart, that desire, that passion, that pulses in the blood of every human being, that leaves him restless and that leaves him hungry in this world. That's the human condition. The question is, what is the person going to fill himself up with? What he's going to work at? What is he going to labor? What is he going to feel, that feeling of accomplishment that we spoke about last time? What is it going to take? So you choose, like you go to that's Bechira. Person goes to the gas pump and he decides, I'm going to get the super gas or I'm going to get the unleaded. But over here, it's not just super and unleaded. It's not just like a presidential election. I remember in Eretz Israel seeing Yom Bechira. I was very struck by the word. Yom Bechira, the day of Bechira. That's the day of Bechira. Every day is a Yom Bechira. Right? So in an election, somehow, if that's our only exercise of Bechira, that's our only right as a citizen of the country, and that's our Bechira, then woe to us. My in-laws, little old Holocaust survivors, and they became citizens after they came to this country, and they worked hard for it. And it came to the presidential election, each and every one that they voted in. They picked themselves up, and with difficulty, they got down the apartment steps, and they came to the local school, and they went into the voting booth, and this one voted for the Republican, and this one voted for the Democrat, and they effectively canceled out each other's vote. Right, they exercised their national right. They exercised that democratic process over here. But that's not Bechira. Bechira is something bigger than that. It's not a question of which box in the booth and which lever to pull. It's the question of which lever in my heart. There's two pipes inside the person. There's the windpipe and the food pipe. And one is open or the other one is open, even without us being aware of it. When we're breathing, so food is not going down. And when we're eating, so we're not breathing because the other pipe closes up, the other one closes up. It's either this one, it's either ruchnius, it's either ruchnius or it's gashmius. And the person has to make a decision. What is his ambition? What is his great desire? What is his passion that he's going to apply himself to in his lifetime? And that's what the Mesilas Yesharim is talking about over here when he says that the person is going to be amol kol yemei chayav. V'hinei masha harunu zechachmenu zechron lebracha. Our sages have taught us the following thing: Sha'adam lo nivra, that the person was only created. Lo nivra ella, the person was only created lis aneg al Hashem. For that ultra, and people like to throw around this term ultra religious. But the ultimate joy that comes to a person is kirvas elokim litov, is coming closer to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And it can be demonstrated very clearly that anybody who ever tried to separate themselves from the taivas of this world, anybody who ever went into a situation of addiction, all the psychologists, all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again, cannot reconstitute the person, cannot compete in the person's mind with that pleasure and that desire that the person became addicted to, became so attracted to, that they couldn't separate themselves from it. The only pleasure, the highest pleasure that can take a person out, even while in this world, is the pleasure that a person has when they realize that they're coming closer to, and that they're approaching and they're approximating and they're coming to the company of, and they're somehow pleasing and becoming attached to the Almighty Himself. It's a natural feeling within the person to try to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everything goes back to its source. Water goes back to its source. A person is made of water. There's a part that wants to flow, that love comes from. The mystical books are telling us. There's another part that's called upper, and earth goes down. Gravity has its pull on it, and it pulls the person down and keeps him in bed sometimes, and pushes the snooze alarm multiple times. There's a fire inside of a person. There's a fire inside of a person that wants to go back to the sun. That the Sefer Tanya says that fire that resides inside the person, that desire, that passion within the person, just like a fire wants to go up, it wants to reconnect, it wants to join itself back to the sun. The same way water, when it flows, it wants to go back to the river and go back to the giant ocean. It wants to go back to its original large source. And the earth wants to go back to the earth. And the same thing is a wind that wants to go back up to the atmosphere, and a person is made of those four ingredients. But we also know that the Torah tells us, "V'yipach papav nishmas chaim," that the Almighty put a breath of life into humanity, and that breath of life also has a desire to come back to its Creator. And the Sefer Tanya says that even if the person knows, even if that fire knows, that when it comes up to the next world, it comes into the grand original body, it's rejoined back with the Or Ein Sof. It comes like a candle into the middle of the sun. Its identity will become obliterated, but even still it wants to climb back to that source. And that is the desire that's in a person. That is Bechira. Am I going to go up the ladder of Yaakov Avinu, v'hinei sulam mutzav artzav v'rosh magim hashamama, or am I going to go down? V'malach Elohim olim v'yardin bo. There's traffic going, yardin bo. There's traffic going in both directions. There's traffic going up, and there's traffic that's going down. And the person finds himself in this. Mr. Sharm will speak about it in this shikul hagadol, in this counterbalance over here, coming close to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's a natural desire. That's what the Zohar says. Why does a Jew shuckle? You know, there's only two types of people in this world that do this. Jewish people, they shuckle like this, and crazy people. Right? I don't know why crazy people. But the Zohar says the reason why Jewish people shuckle. And I remember witnessing it one time, standing in the back of a shiur that one of my Rabbis gave to college students. And there were a bunch of all-American kids sitting there with their T-shirts and their jeans hanging out in the back. And somewhere in the middle of the shiur, I noticed that a percentage of them started to shuckle. And I was thinking about the Zohar. That means there's a neshama inside. And the neshama is starting to feel activated, starting to want to move. It wants to come close to like that flame inside that wants to go back to its source. It wants to connect with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. When a person gets a taste of ruchnius, tamu ru'u ki tov Hashem, and the taste and see that, and begin to experience that Hashem is good. When a person gets that feeling, gets an appetite for that, then what happens is, that's the greatest appetite in the whole world, to get a tam ruchani, to get a taste of ruchnius. Because that makes the person want to climb, it makes the person want to grow. Interesting thing that we find, there's a machlokas, we'll conclude this segment with this piece over here. There's a machlokas, there's a disagreement in the Medrash about the nature of human being, the nature of Adam that was created originally. And one says he was able to see from one end of the world to the other, horizontal. There's another machlok that says, another opinion that says that he was from Mi'aretz ad Shemayim, that he was from the earth all the way up to the heavens. So what was his stature? He could see from one end of the world. Others said that his head was collected from the Mokum of the Migdash, from the Evan Shasiya, from right there where the Kodesh Kadoshim was, and where Yitzchak and Abraham went for Kedes Yitzchak. Right there, that same place. And the rest of them was created and collected from around the world. And others said, no, he was created entirely from there. So I was thinking like this, and actually one of my Rebbeim had mentioned this notion, is that there's two different aspects even of the same person. On the one hand, a person wants to explore the world because there's a part of him that the dust is from all around the world, and we want to go to China, we want to go to India, we want to climb mountains, we want to go all over the place. But at some point, the person finds out that it's not about moving horizontally in this world, it's about moving vertically, going up closer to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And at that moment, Shalna me'alecha, raglecha me'alecha, remove your shoes from upon yourself. Sha'adama sha'ata omed elav admas kodesh. Moshe Rabbeinu was told that you're there, you arrived, you're here. Now you have to begin to build up. You have to begin to go up. And at that moment where the person says, listen, it's not about moving sideways, it's another city and it's another country and it's more of the same. Hakina taiva ve'akavet motzias ha'adam min ha'olam. And the neshama becomes bored of that. Then he becomes attached to that aspect of Adam Rishon. That's really that his stature is from this world going and climbing up to the heavens. He's not from Sofa Aretz al Sofa Aretz. He's interested in National Geographic, what's going on in the world in geography. To see this earth, and to see this dirt, and to see this building, and to see this architecture. It's very nice and it's very interesting. And humanity is interesting and history is interesting. But the best thing that a person can do for himself, and the best thing the person can do to advance the cause and the purpose of his neshama, is to stop moving in this direction and stop moving in that direction. A fool has his eyes on the ends of the earth, Shlomo Melech tells us. He's looking to see what's happening here and what's happening across the world. Machadash, 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 what's happening in the world. And Shlomo Melech already told us, Ein kol chadash tachas Hashem, there's nothing new under the sun. There's no news. So if there's no news, so what are people looking for the news for? Ein kol chadash tachas Hashem, there's nothing new. So why are we looking for news? Why are we so passionate about the news? Machadash, machadash, machadash. And the answer is, HaChodesh hazeh lechem, Rosh Chodashim. That we were given a capacity over here, we say twice a day in our davening, HaMechadash b'tuva b'cho yom tamid ma'aseh bereshis. That the Almighty, Histaklu Baraisa Bara Alma Kodesh Baruch Hu, is looking into the Torah and He's creating the world. He's creating the world right now. Not created the world. We're not interested in the age of the universe. We're interested that the Almighty is looking into the Torah, He's looking into this film, and He's projecting it onto the wall, and it's being created right now. Akshav. B'hoveh, in the present tense. Yotzir Or Uvarech Hoshech HaKodesh Baruch Hu is doing it right now. And therefore that desire for news is really coming for not the news of what's happening in this world. It's a sublimated, we're looking for God in all the wrong places. We're looking for HaMechadash B'tuva B'cho Yom Tamid Ma'aseh Bereshis. The Almighty is looking for us. And we have the capacity to look for Him. And when we look for a Kodesh Baruch Hu, we look for the Chachma. We look for the Tov, Hashem L'kol. We look for the goodness of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And we begin to seek it out. We find it in every person, in every blade of grass. Then we're moving closer to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Not about getting on a ladder and going up and disappearing from this world and being transcendent from this world. It's about being in this world and seeing and experiencing and walking with the Halach, the B'drachav, and walking with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. We'll talk more and more about it as we walk our way together, not horizontally, but vertically, with the help of the Mesilat Yesharim.